Good morning once again, my dear students. In our previous class, we have discussed about respiration happens in animals and some organs of respiratory system. Uh, those are nostril, nasal cavity, nasopharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, lungs, diaphragm, etc. And today we are going to discuss about respiratory process. Um, how respiration happens, how respiration occurs in a body, we will discuss today. Okay, we inhale air through nostrils. We term this as respiration. This is a wrong concept. Our chest continuously expands and shrinks and takes oxygen and drives out carbon dioxide like balloons. As a result, the area of lungs increases and decreases in volume. Lungs continuously expands and shrink to inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. This is called breathing. This is one step of respiration. Respiration is divided into two types, such as external respiration and internal respiration. Okay, now we will discuss external respiration, the process where gaseous changes occur through lungs is called external respiration. In this process, exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide occurs between lung and capillary vessels. External respiration is composed in two steps such as inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation. We take in oxygenated air from the atmosphere. It is called inhalation. During this process, muscles in between diaphragm and chest cavity shrink. But exhalation, after inhalation, exhalation phase starts. In this stage, muscles of diaphragm and chest cavity relax and squeeze. As a result, area of lungs becomes small. The air and carbon dioxide from the alveoli transported through bronchus and trachea are expelled outside through nostril. Okay, now here is a work for you. Observe the breathing of your classmates. Try to do this pressing hard and the diaphragm. What happens? Why? Explain. Do it yourself. And now internal respiration. Now we will discuss about internal respiration. During internal respiration, the cellular food is oxidized in presence of oxygen, converted into kinetic energy and heat energy. Oxygen that enters into the blood of the lung moves with blood to distant capillary vessels. Oxygen then reaches intercellular juice through the walls of capillary vessels. Oxygen enters the cells via this oxygen carrying juice. Then it reacts chemically with cellular food and produce energy. As a consequence, heat energy and carbon dioxide are produced. This carbon dioxide is transported to lung again through blood. And here is a flow chart we can see in our textbook. Flow chart of respiratory system is here. Nostril, then nasal passage, nasal cavity, then nasopharynx, and then trachea, bronchus, bronchiole, and alveoli or air sac. And it reverses after alveoli or air sac. And carbon dioxide returns from alveoli to bronchiole, bronchus, trachea, nasopharynx, nasal cavity, nostril, and outside of nose. Okay, and now we will see a small video of respiratory process. Respiratory process. Okay, internal and external respiratory process we will see with this video.
Which is on its way to the lungs, the pharynx also passes food and drink from the mouth to the esophagus. Because aspiration of food or drink into the lungs may potentially be life-threatening, there are mechanisms in place to prevent this from happening. The larynx is most critical in this regard. The opening of the larynx is guarded by a tissue flap called the epiglottis. During swallowing, the larynx is pulled up and the epiglottis flips over, directing food and drink to the esophagus. More importantly, the vocal folds also close to protect the airway. From the larynx, air passes to the trachea, the windpipe, which then splits into two primary bronchi, supplying the two lungs. In the lungs, primary bronchi branch into smaller and smaller bronchi and bronchioles, forming the bronchial tree with millions of air tubes or airways. The airways have a layer of smooth muscle in their wall, which enables them to constrict or dilate. In response to the body's higher demand for air, such as during exercise, the airways dilate to increase airflow. On the other hand, in the presence of pollutants in the air, the airways constrict to minimize their entry to the lungs. The larynx, trachea, and bronchial tree are lined with ciliated columnar epithelium, which produces mucus and functions as a mucociliary escalator. The mucus traps inhaled particles, while the cilia beading moves the mucus up toward the throat, where it is swallowed. The last component of the conducting division, the terminal bronchioles, branch into several respiratory bronchioles, which mark the beginning of the respiratory division. The respiratory bronchioles end with microscopic air sacs called the alveoli, each of which is surrounded by blood capillaries. This is where the gas exchange process takes place. The alveolar wall is composed mainly of type 1 thin squamous cells, which allow rapid gas diffusion. Inhaled oxygen moves from the alveoli into the blood in the capillaries, while carbon dioxide relocates from the blood to the alveoli to be exhaled out of the body. There is also a small number of type 2 cuboidal cells secreting a surfactant, whose function is to lower the surface tension at the air-liquid interface and prevent the alveolus from collapsing at the end of each exhalation. The alveoli also house a large number of macrophages, ready to engulf any inhaled particles that manage to get past previous barriers to the lungs. The debris-laden macrophages then ride the mucociliary escalator up to the throat to be swallowed and digested.
Okay, my dear students, from this video, we have seen oxygen enters into capillary vessels from the alveoli of the lungs, and carbon dioxide comes from blood to alveoli. And this gaseous exchange of the lungs is called external respiration, and inhalation and exhalation is included in external respiration. And internal respiration, inside the cell, within the cell, oxygen acts as food. In some enzyme control reactions, internal respiration goes like this. Okay, now do yourself. There is a work for you. Stand up and sit down or run for some time. Count your breathing. You will find that the breathing rate will be higher than in resting state. Count breathing per minute of your younger sister and brother. Okay, it's for you. And in our next class, we will read some common diseases of respiratory tract. Okay, that's all for today, my dear students. Stay safe, and we will see again soon, very soon in our classroom, in our physical classes. Okay, thank you.